You might be asking yourself, who is this guy talking to the camera and what is he doing? Well, my name is Adam Keith. I'm the head writer at Don't Talk Loud, and today I kind of just want to answer two questions for you. First question, has Ben Affleck hit 3 for 3 in success on his directing career, or has he finally hit a dud and a flop with Argo? Question 2, Martin McDonagh, who put out In Bruges in 2008, soon became a very, very funny cult hit, has finally released his follow-up, Seven Psychopaths. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it boring? Is it funny? Well, you'll find out on today's show. Ben Affleck has finally stumbled on the scene with his third film, Argo. What differentiates Argo from Affleck's other two films is that this time he left behind the gritty Bostonian setting, he left behind the chase sequences and the flying bullets and the constant F-words and the crazy action, and he actually delved into building intensity using situational psychology and character development. As a matter of fact, the character development was a really big thing in this movie because for the first 20 to 25 minutes, I actually found Affleck's character to be really boring. I was like, what is this? Is this Affleck just looking for a starring role? Because he's really not convincing me to care about him much. As the film develops and as we learn more about his character and how he's involved in this situation, you actually start to realize that this guy is pretty awesome. He plays Tony Mendez, a real-life CIA agent who staged a fake sci-fi film to get 6 refugees out of the Canadian ambassador's house during anti-American sentiments in Iran in the late 70s and early 80s. So you learn about these 6 guys, these 6 people who are trapped in this house 24/7 trying to get out of the country safely. And you start to realize, wow, these guys are in a really pretty crazy situation. You start to feel the intensity they felt. And by the time it gets to getting them out of there, you're grabbing onto the sides of your seat. You're just like, oh man, what is going on? Are they going to get out of this? And it's probably one of the most intense sequences I've ever viewed without actually having the presence of shootouts or violence or any type of really crazy chaos. He actually managed to subtly build a really good homage to 70s films. As a matter of fact, I was sold on the film very quickly right when the vintage Warner Brothers logo popped up. We're all used to the gold emblem with the Warner Brothers Pictures sign on there and the cloud background. Well, back in the late 70s and even early 80s, Warner Brothers had a very distinct logo, which was 3 curved lines made to make a W on a black background. You can definitely tell he did his research in 70s films. He watched films like All the President's Men, and he watched films like The Osterman Weekend, and learned how to build thrills without crazy action sequences, but more characters, story, and dialogue. And he succeeded well. This is a guy who I really think has a gift behind the camera, and I think he's really shaping himself up to be a great auteur, and I think he could really be in the running to get an Oscar one day. Will it be Argo? I don't know, but I think if he continues on this streak, he's going to have a great directing career for a very long time. In the end, I'm going to say Argo is worth about a 9.1 out of 10. It's definitely worth going to see at full price. I highly recommend it. It's fun, it's got humor, and one of the best parts of it was the chemistry between John Goodman and Alan Arkin. Those two guys did one of the best satires of people in the film industry I've ever seen. You really like watching them. You find them funny, and they provide great comic relief in between moments of intensity. As a matter of fact, I'm really, really hoping that Goodman gets in the running for an Oscar nomination because he's long overdue. I feel that he was really robbed for The Big Lebowski, and I feel he needs to be recognized because he really is one of the best working actors out there right now. He's got great presence, great personality, and Arkin matches it beautifully on screen. Another great thing I really enjoyed about it was this sense of hope that the film gave out. It showed you that things aren't always great in the world. There's political turmoil, there's conflicts, there's bad situations, but it just takes hope, faith, and an attempt to believe you can get out of something to really make it great. And that's why this film really succeeds to me. I think it exemplifies a story of excellent character development. It's got excellent screenwriting, it's got excellent acting, and it's one of the most detailed period pieces I've ever seen. Every little aspect of this film, from the props, from the cars, from the streets, even to what they wore and how their hair looked, it felt like you were in the late 70s, early 80s. It was excellent. Therefore, I highly recommend Argo and think you should give it a shot. So on this site, we always pride ourselves on not spoiling things. I get tired of people revealing important key parts in the movies in their reviews. So I'm going to say, if I was to choose a very notable scene in Argo, I would honestly say it's just the depiction of like the crowds protesting in the streets of Tehran. Even something as crazy as like when they burn the American flag or when they're pounding on the gates trying to get into the embassy. Affleck really establishes what's going on in that city and that country in general at the time. And I think that type of production quality and attention to detail is really what makes it a particularly great film.